Hi there, it's real estate coach Josh Fegan and welcome to this week's coaching tip. It's all about how do you get more of what it is that you want. You see, being a great real estate agent, it's really easy to be in your head worrying about what's going on in your world. And the things that you find stressful are not even remotely important when you look from a 10-year perspective. What is really important is to start to think about how you can actually help more customers get what they want. And there's an old Zig Ziglar quote that if you help enough people get what they want, then they'll help you get what you want. And it couldn't be more true. You see, in the economy that we sit in today, there are so many real estate agents that are kind of at that point where they're looking about what everyone else is doing, but they're not really concentrating on what they're doing. And a great business is actually built on systems. Now, what is a system? Well, it's a checklist, or sometimes it might even be a form. It might be some dialogue that you use at a particular point in the conversation, or it might be a visual that actually clearly explains how you do something and why it works. Now, why are these things so critically important? Well, the more systemized your business is, then the more that you can actually teach it to other people. Now, what you want to kind of consider is that really everything in life is about getting real clarity about setting a goal, aka writing $1 million, and then starting to think about, okay, well, what systems will I need in order to be able to go and write $1 million? Well, depending on your area, that might mean that you need to do 50 or 100 sales a year. In order to do that, you might need to list 60 or possibly even 120 properties a year. So in order to do that, how are you actually going to generate the appraisals? What's the lead generation process? What are the systems that you use for that? Right the way through to winning the business, being in a position that you then actually sell the property, getting price reductions, all that other stuff that goes on in being a great real estate agent. So we set up these expectations and we set up these experiences. And what actually starts to happen is that once we've got that system, we then get an output or a result. So you might have gone in today, you might have got on the phone, you might have picked it up, you might have called a few people, you might have done 20 calls, but you didn't actually book any appointments. Well, if we're not actually getting the results that we want, then what we've got to come back and do is we've got to come back and we've got to redesign the system. Then we've got to put the right people in play in order to be able to work the systems in order for us to be able to go and get the result that we want. So to be a great real estate agent, what you want to start to consider is that do you actually have the systems that are built for the type of business that you want to produce? So for some real estate agents, when you get to 3 or maybe even 4 transactions a month, then like all of a sudden the stress comes on and things start really falling apart. And then you put on a team member and then it's maybe 6 or 7 transactions a month. And then you put on another team member and then you need to get to 10 or 11 transactions a month, because that's really what your capacity is. So really one of the questions I've got for you is that if you're at a capacity issue right now inside of your business, what are the systems that you need to get right in order to be able to go and get growth? And you want to really work ahead of the curve. So a classic example for this, I time things. Let's say, for example, you look at maybe, I don't know, like a vendor report. How long does it actually take you to produce a vendor report for your client? Now, if it takes you an hour and you've got 10 listings, that's now like maybe an entire day and a half of work in order to be able to go and produce those vendor reports. Could you get that vendor report production down to 6 minutes? Because if you get it down to 6 minutes, then it's now only an hour of activity. So this is where time and motion studies become incredibly important in your career, is to start to think about how long does it take to produce, how simple is it actually getting the result or the outcome? I was once doing some coaching for a commercial and industrial agent on a really large commercial site with over a couple of $100 million. They were really worried because in previous years, some of the big multinationals had produced these huge documents, like these massive dossiers on what they should do with the site. And the guy said, how do I cut through? How do I win? And I said to him, well, what's the relationship like with the client? He goes, well, the relationship's really high. I said, does this particular client trust and respect your opinion? Yeah, he does. I said, okay, great. Put it on one page. So I boiled down all of the key things onto one page and everything can then be discussed off that particular one pager. And he's horrified about this idea because he really wants to win the business. It's a very lucrative contract to win. So we put it on one page, we deliver it to the client. The client 30 minutes later rings up, he goes, is this it? He goes, yeah, it is. The client goes, great, you're employed, you're our agent. We just want somebody who makes it simple. And this is the important thing. Don't get distracted about what you're apparently supposed to do. Get really clear about exactly what it is that you want to do to ensure that your systems deliver the results that you need as an individual agent. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this week's coaching tip, and I look forward to seeing you next week.